ASMR. Hey. Hi. Hey there. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to my channel. Tonight's video is a belated December a fake dating trope, but I don't mind that. I actually love a good fake dating trope if it's done well. It also has the grumpy meets sunshine trope. But one of the things that I really liked about this book was that it's in a STEM setting. I thought that that was really interesting. You know, you've got Olive, who is a third-year PhD student. You've got Adam, who's a professor. And she actually talks quite a bit, like, about Olive and her goals and, like, her work as a student and, like, why she wants her PhD. And she actually talks about the science, like, quite a bit, because the fact that they're in this scholarly setting is kind of central to the plot. But I really liked that, and I thought it was well done. A lot of it went over my head because I was not a STEM major. I was a creative writing major, so, but still, it was well done. And I appreciated that aspect of it. So, this book definitely had me laughing. So we start with Olive, like I said, and she's this third-year PhD student doing a bunch of sciencey stuff, and I want to say that her research has something to do with cancer. But it's been a while since I read this now, so I'm probably forgetting some of the details, but I think that her work revolves around cancer. And Dr. Carlson, the other main character, is a professor in her program, but he is not her professor. Like, she's not one of the students that he's mentoring. They just work in the same department and, like, in the same lab building, but he is not, like, she doesn't directly report to him in any sort of capacity. Like, she has a different mentor. And so at the beginning of the novel, Olive has this best friend on, and Olive was dating this guy, like casually dating, had been out a couple of times. I think his name was Jeremy, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember his name, but we're gonna call him Jeremy. She was dating this guy kind of casually, and she takes him to a party, and he meets her best friend on, and like sparks fly. There's just like an immediate connection between Jeremy and On, and Olive is just kind of like whatever about it, you know, because they'd just been casually dating, only been on a couple of dates, so she doesn't really think twice about it. And her and Jeremy break up, and she tells On that she should date Jeremy, but On is like, no way, I'm not gonna date him, girl code, that was your boyfriend, can't do it, not gonna violate girl code like that, even though Olive is totally indifferent and is like, whatever, you can date him, go for it. On won't do it. So Olive has decided to convince On that she has moved on and has zero feelings for Jeremy and couldn't care less about them getting together because she is happily dating someone else. And, you know, it's implied that On, like, may or may not believe her, but Olive has told On that she's going out on a date when really she's at the lab, and Olive panics because she thinks she sees On at the lab and has just sorry, and then like she bolts. And honestly, I don't remember the details of how it evolves from that into fake dating, but I want to say maybe they bump into each other like in like a lounge in the building, and On walks in and is like, I know what you two did, like I know what's going on here, and instead of outing her, Dr. Carlson, Adam, just plays along, which takes Olive by surprise. But he plays along, and before you know it, they agree to fake date for a little while. And like Adam has his own reasons for agreeing to it, and basically I think it's like the school sees him as a flight risk because he's got no like anchor to the city or the school. He doesn't date, doesn't have a family, like he's got nothing tying him there. So I think that's like the reason that he agrees to fake daters. He's like, here's my reason for doing it, and you've got your reason, you know, for your friend, so we'll just put on this little charade for a month or two and then move on. But you know, with fake dating tropes, obviously lots of hijinks ensue. I definitely had secondhand embarrassment on behalf of Olive on more than one occasion because they just get put in these like totally unrealistic scenarios. I will say that's one thing you do kind of have to like shut off the logical part of your brain when you're reading a rom-com like this, because like so much of this would obviously never happen. Like it would never happen. But that's okay, because like it's cute and fun for the sake of the story. But totally got some secondhand embarrassment a couple of different times. Like I think there's like an incident at a school assembly where I was as red as a tomato on behalf of Olive because it was just like this like nightmarish situation where they're thrust into like outwardly having all of these public displays of affection for the sake of putting on this show. But honestly, I want to say like it was On that kept pushing Olive into these awkward situations, and it was just like, oh, like the secondhand embarrassment, but it was really funny. So I laughed a lot, like I said, but there are some more serious aspects to the story. You know, like I said, she's a PhD student trying to do this cancer research, and you know, there are hiccups along the way for her in terms of her research project or her thesis. I don't remember all the technical terms. I've never been a PhD student. I will say this book does touch on sexual harassment, and so trigger warning if that's something that will upset you. They do touch on that in this book, so there are some like more serious moments where it covers more serious topics like sexual harassment and her actual research work. Like it talks about that a lot. There is one quite smutty scene a good chunk of the way through the book. I want to say like 3/4 of the way. There's an entire chapter that's just real spicy. But some people are into that, so just so you know, there is some of that in this book. But that's not like the whole premise of the book. Like I said, it's just like one chapter towards the end of the book. So if you're looking for that in a novel, there is not a ton of it in this one. But if that's something that you're not super into, it's just one chapter. So, you know, I'll leave that up to you if that's something that you're into, not into, doesn't bother you, yada yada. But is the love hypothesis. I'm gonna make a few more book sounds and then read a couple of pages from the prologue. Okay, my lovelies, let's read a little bit, shall we? So there's this little intro page that gives the definition of a hypothesis: a supposition or proposed explanation made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. Example: based on the available information and the data hitherto collected, my hypothesis is that the farther away I stay from love, the better off I'll be. Okay, and this book does have a prologue, so I'm going to read from the prologue instead of chapter 1. Frankly, Olive was a bit on the fence about this whole grad school thing. Not because she didn't like science. She did. She loved science. Science was her thing. And not because of the truckload of obvious red flags. She was well aware that committing to years of unappreciated, underpaid 80-hour work weeks might not be good for her mental health. That night spent toiling away in front of a Bunsen burner to uncover a trivial slice of knowledge might not be the key to happiness. That devoting her mind and body to academic pursuits, with only infrequent breaks to steal unattended bagels, might not be a wise choice. She was well aware, and yet none of it worried her. Or maybe it did a tiny bit, but she could deal. It was something else that held her back from surrendering herself to the most notorious and soul-sucking circle of hell, i.e. a PhD program. Held her back, that is, until she was invited to interview for a spot in Stanford's biology department and came across the guy. The guy whose name she never really got. The guy she met after stumbling blindly into the first bathroom she could find. The guy who asked her, out of curiosity, is there a specific reason you're crying in my restroom? Olive squeaked. She tried to open her eyes to the tears and only barely managed to. Her entire field of view was blurry. All she could see was a watery outline, someone tall, dark-haired, dressed in black. And yeah, that was it. Is this the ladies' restroom? She stammered. A pause. Is this the ladies' restroom? She stammered. A pause. Silence. And then, nope. His voice was deep. So deep. Really deep. Dreamy deep. Are you sure? Yes. Really? Fairly, since this is my lab's bathroom. Well, he had her there. I'm so sorry. Do you need to? She gestured toward the stall, or where she thought the stalls were. Her eyes stung, even closed, and she had to scrunch them shut to dull the burn. She tried to dry her cheeks with her sleeve, but the material of her wrap dress was cheap and flimsy, not half as absorbent as real cotton. Ah, the joys of being impoverished. I just need to pour this reagent down the drain, he said, but she didn't hear him move. Maybe because she was blocking the sink, or maybe because he thought Olive was a weirdo and was contemplating sticking the campus police on her. That would put a brutally quick end to her PhD dreams, wouldn't it? We don't use this as a restroom, just to dispose of waste and wash equipment. Oh, sorry, I thought. Poorly. She thought poorly, as was her habit and curse. Are you okay? He must be really tall. His voice sounded like it came from 10 feet above her. Sure, why do you ask? Because you're crying. In my bathroom. Oh, I'm not crying. Well, I sort of am, but it's just tears, you know. I do not. She sighed, slumping against the tiled wall. It's my contacts. They expired some time ago and they were never Alice's bathroom. It's fine, she waved a hand. She'd have rolled her eyes if they hadn't been on fire. The burning usually only lasts a few minutes. You mean you've done this before? She frowned. Done what? Put in expired condoms